troubleshooting performance issue for enterprise end user, working remotely more and more those days, has always been a challenge. But with packets and network traces, of course, as we saw earlier, we have this taxonomy and workflow, and of course now it's still very efficient for troubleshooting. And that's what I would like to show you. So here I have on my computer the perfect tooling. So I'm not sure you can see. Yeah, I will just close that. Okay. So here on my computer, I have the perfect forensic packet tooling. You can recognize a packet analyzer where I have the trace, of that user working from anywhere, let's say, accessing maybe an ERP application hosted in a cloud. And here I have the trace and I need to troubleshoot this performance issue. So I will slice and dice like we do with our product very easily. And I can quickly, apply a very simple workflow we do in that case. I will just drop some views like directly on the trace. And here I will very quickly isolate an IP conversation of the service I wanted to troubleshoot. And simply in a click, I'm able to send all the packets, not directly to Wireshark. I'm not sure here it's required, but maybe to Transaction Analyzer, and in Transaction Analyzer, we have this super app doctor who will tell us whether the slowness comes from the client, from the network, or from the server. But wait, it's in the cloud. So I missed something. Yeah, obviously, it's in the cloud. The remote users are anywhere. How do I get the packets? Yeah, well, the packets. You have to know that our customers accelerate actually their applications, whether they are SaaS app or internal app users with access through a VPN. So our customers have their users with the Client Accelerator like this, like I have on my machine. And we can see it here running. So this Client Accelerator has some capabilities that can be very useful when troubleshooting an app. Let me quickly show you. So for that, I will just jump into the Client Accelerator Controller. And in the Client Accelerator Controller, basically, I will be able to monitor whether the acceleration is efficient on some endpoints and others. But from the Client Accelerator Controller, what I can do, I can just report on the endpoints that are connected to, that are actually managed. So I will do this real quick. I will filter, and I will select, just for the demo, I will select maybe you can show, okay, the WFA machine. I filter the machine I would like to monitor. Here, I got it. So I have one user, which is called Steel Demo, is the name of the user. But whatever it is, actually, it's a user who is working with the accelerator. I can just select the device of that user, go in endpoint operation, and here I would request for TCP dump while I'm troubleshooting with him, or I'm calling, okay, are you ready to run the slow transaction? Or I don't know, yeah, let's go. And I will usually not capture 30 seconds, but more 15 minutes, let's say. And then I apply the action, and that's it. The trace is starting. And a few minutes after, I will be able, we won't have the time to wait 15 minutes. So let me just show you directly. I will go to the endpoint dumps here, TCP dumps. And from there, I can see all the traces I got before. And I'm just able to, just in one click, download the trace, which is, by the way, compressed. And then I can just feed my forensic tools like Packet Analyzer and Transaction Analyzer and even Wireshark. So yeah, so that's great. But now you will say, yeah, I want to do it. How should I do? What should I deploy or anything? And by the way, I'm working from home, so I cannot deploy anything in my data center. No worries. Look at that. Here we have now a perfect way. Just let me show you on the diagram. This diagram is just showing, on the top thing, the standard, users accelerating their application in SaaS application or in their premises or anywhere. And here you have this particular application that is in trouble. So basically, you are just what you need to do that. You need the controller. And the controller, as any troubleshooter nowadays are thinking in the cloud, the Client Accelerator can be deployed just in the cloud as well. Let me show you this. For example, you can go into Azure, which has been updated very recently. And from Azure, you will find in any subscription, you go in the Microsoft Azure portal, you go in the marketplace, and you will find the Riverbed, type Riverbed, Riverbed Client Accelerator. Here it is. And from there, in just a few clicks, you can deploy the Client Accelerator in your own subscription. So the last thing you will need to do is to get probably a little bit of training if you need. So you can have a look to the RCP stuff that are, RCP trainings and education we provide that is very required to understand perfectly what you will do with all of that. And finally, I can just invite you to pass by the trial page where you can get a free 60-day trial to license your Riverbed Client Accelerator Controller.
Quick question, Gwen.
Yeah.
I saw when you were going through, I know you were talking about dumping the packets, but I also saw like dumping memory and stuff. Is that built for like forensic reasons, or is that more like a development kind of troubleshooting flow?
Oh, you mean the workflow I've been talking about, that one?
No, when you were in there dumping the packets, there was something to dump system memory.
Oh, from the Client Accelerator Controller, sorry. Yeah, actually, the Client Accelerator Controller is the controller that allow you to monitor the Client Accelerator itself. So sometimes you might need to do a sysdump of the application itself, let's say for troubleshooting or just for, tuning the acceleration, because the acceleration is applying some policies and stuff. So you might need to understand better about that. So that is more related to the Client Accelerator than the full endpoint. Yeah.
Okay.
So all these analysis tools, I see they're basically all locally host based for their processing. Is that true?
Yeah, those are really applications, and they can be installed in any Windows machine like Packet Analyzer and Transaction Analyzer. And of course, you can host them in any cloud VM or virtual desktop if you want.
And do they directly pull data from the rest of the Riverbed tool set, or do you just basically export PCAPs and then work on it from there?
Yeah, so exactly. Here, actually, this Packet Analyzer is really the very good companion of your app response appliances. We have seen this earlier, but typically customers would have app response instances, maybe in Azure, in some VNet in Azure, some in AWS VPCs, but as well on-prem, of course, in some DCs. So you need app response instances very close to collect the packet like directly, because it will collect the packets through tap system, like a port mirroring from the switches and stuff like that. So with Packet Analyzer, you are able to just interact with all of those instances from a single point. And of course, when you do the analysis, it will be very fast. There is no need to download the full packets over the line. Actually, it's optimized so that you can query and just slice and dice like remotely using Packet Analyzer.
Okay, so it just basically pulls down the metadata initially there, and then you do the analysis of the metadata and then pull down the necessary data. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not clear on that. Is it that it's connecting to the client devices or to the cloud controller?
Your question is how the Packet Analyzer is working. Packet Analyzer is able to connect directly to app response, to an app response instance. It's another, actually, it's not connecting, at least currently, it's not connecting directly to the controller. So in the demo just before, what I did was connecting through the web console of the controller, downloading the packets, and then feeding the SteelCentral Packet Analyzer, in fact, directly from here. But it will be, in coming release, probably we would have this kind of interaction, direct interaction.
What's the trust and security model between the cloud controller and the client accelerators? How do I authenticate back and forth to those two? I'm thinking that it's a great tool, but I see it as, from the security standpoint, as being a very high risk component that if I can get my hands on it and say, please show me a packet capture or system.
Oh yeah.
A remote machine.
Sure. Yeah, naturally, it's protected. Actually, a few things. The controller is not contacting any devices over clear text channel. Like everything is encrypted for sure, and then accessing to this feature to be able to capture is really restricted to administrator. I was an admin, really an admin account to be able to do that. Yeah.
And registering the client controller or the client accelerator to the controller, is there a certificate exchange? How do I come up to make that trust happen out of the box? Yeah,
so there is kind of a natural onboarding. Here, it was not actually the demo, but I can explain quickly. In fact, from the controller, you will generate the package that are used to be to deploy the agent on the endpoints. And through this deployment, in fact, you are injecting a trust, some keys, and actually the trust and the onboarding is at that point, is done at that point, yeah.
Okay, so you pre-generate a pre-configured installer that you send out to the endpoints. Okay.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.